Archpriest Sergiy Baranov, on gratitude. Sermon on the day of the procession of the venerable wood of the life-creating cross of the Lord, 14 August 2022. We have just had the honey blessed, and when we read the prayer for the blessing of honey, we noticed there, in that prayer, the recollection about how the Lord nourished the Israelis in the desert. Some people cannot even imagine how dreadful this desert is. The desert where the Israelis were wandering for 40 years. In fact, one may walk that distance in a month. However, Moses shepherded them for 40 years through that desert. The desert is not sandy. It is rather rocky. Bare stones heating under the sun. Those people lived in that desert for 40 years, and the Lord nourished them with manna from heaven. He gave them both water and food. They say there was one peculiar thing about manna. Everyone who ate it tasted the taste of the food he or she wanted to have. Manna wholly satisfied the demands of everyone. It did not fall only to prevent the people from starving. Elder Porhyrios, who managed to see the mercy of God in everything and to glorify the Lord at every moment of his life, once said the following touching words: God loves us so much. He gave us food and provided it with a taste, so that it became delicious. Besides, he endued it with a flavor. At this point, some of the most fanatic people may say at once, "This is gluttony." There are books which contain the description of 2,000 sins. Sometimes those who read them come and ask me during confession, "Do you know what this sin is about?" After a moment of hesitation, I say, "Well, I don't know. I cannot be clear about all those 2,000 sins." A sin is simply our egotism. Everything else is either a passion or something happening with the will of God to make us grateful to Him. So, it was not the devil who gave our food its taste and flavor. It was God who did this in order to make us happy. I want to draw your attention to the lives of the fathers, where we find the descriptions of the lives of the Holy Fathers, who were great ascetics and sometimes did not have any food throughout 40-day fasts, and who disregarded both the taste and the smell of food, and the principle of nourishment at all. Then, all of a sudden, we read there was one Abba who came to visit another. And what do? The latter treats his guest with some food, and this does not cause any damage to them. They try not only to treat, but to delight their guests by suggesting more delicious food. The passion is in us, not in our food. It is neither in its flavor nor its taste. The passion is in us. While all these delightful things are created by God in order to bring joy to us, the Lord supplied His people with manna in the same way. It was not a kind of tasteless mass. Everyone who ate manna enjoyed the flavor of something definitely delicious. They satiated and glorified God in their joy. At the same time, some people who still had manna in their mouths wanted something more. Instead of being grateful to God, they began to argue with Him. Moses had been leading them for 40 years through that desert. They ate manna and quails. Water sprang from a dry stone for them. However, as long as Moses climbed the mountain for a conversation with God, and, according to some liturgical texts, remained there a little longer, the people, still having the taste of manna in their mouths, began to make the golden calf. A sin is egotism, which bears ingratitude. Ingratitude is a very ugly thing, while gratitude is wonderful. Grateful people are always peaceful and joyful, as gratitude gives them this spirit. At the same time, ungrateful people are always being annoyed with something. They are gloomy, dissatisfied, and always see only the bad sides. Having manna in their mouths, they feel hungry and do not like what has been prepared for them. The same goes with spiritual life. All our spiritual life long, God stays near us. Always and everywhere, in every moment of our life, God stands by our side. At some point, we are open to Him, but at others, we are simply not. One may say, "How wonderful God is! He is so close to me." Meanwhile, the other, standing by the first, may say, "There is no God." Indeed, there is no God for him, as he is closed towards him. Nevertheless, God always remains there to the full extent. In accordance with the Holy Scripture, God does not measure His grace. He gives it above measure, but you will have only as much of it as you are able to.